it almost seemed like Kristin needed a little bit more convincing to do this, that maybe you had this idea years ago, because the Rewatch podcast is very in right now. Everyone's doing it. It's super popular. And what did it take to finally get her to agree to do this?
It's funny. It almost really actually didn't happen at all. And we haven't even really told the story, but we just briefly talked about it. And again, for years I had been thinking about it, wanting to do it. And with really the only intention being like, I just want to know what's in those episodes. I don't remember much. I totally locked them away. There was no I had no real bone to pick or anything. I knew that there were certain moments, like, of course, like with Cabo and stuff, you're like, oh, this is going to be tough to watch. So I knew I had to sign up for that. But I was okay with it. I'm so much older now, and you're so less emotionally attached to that time in your life where you can really laugh and appreciate, like, oh my gosh, I've come so far, thankfully, and I'm still here.
Yeah.
So I think in talking about it with Kristin, we briefly touched on it, and she seemed interested in the idea. Right away she was like, "Well, I do a podcast with you. It could be really fun." And I was like, "Cool." And then it was like, honestly, that was in passing, and then it wasn't until almost like a year later, and a COVID canceled trip to Australia to promote Everyone Is Doing Great. I was like, what am I going to do for the next few weeks? And it was just one of the first things on the list where I was like, let's just try to make this happen right now. Maybe this is a good time. So I hit up Kristin, and she was like, I don't know. I kind of got a lot of things going on right now. And I was like, yeah, I understand. Like, I do want to keep it limited though. We don't want to go into it too far. She's like, yeah, I'm just kind of really busy right now. And then I actually called her like an hour or so later to literally just kind of catch up. And I already kind of accepted that she can't do it right now. Let's just have a little chat. And I just want to see how she was doing. Right. And we started talking about the podcast right away. And she was like, I just, maybe if it's like really only something limited. And I was like, oh wait, so she does want to do it. I'm like, okay. So we kind of like from there continue to kind of chat it out and say, yeah, let's just, we want to get in, be bold, get out. We're not trying to do 200 episodes of this podcast, and we'll just see how it goes. So from there, we got on the same page and found a partner in Dear Media that was on the same page. And, I know she's mentioned it, and I am, also very happy that we've done it. It's been a really fun experience being able to do it. So
yeah, thankfully there's not that many episodes of Laguna Beach.
Right.
Is the plus side. Like, we just had, some of the cast of Boy Meets World on our show, and they're doing a rewatch pod. And Danielle Fishel was like, well, there's like 200 plus episodes to watch, which is crazy when you have that many seasons. But Laguna Beach really just had that. It was a short amount of time. It hit really hard, and everyone loved it.
Because then it went right into the hills after that. And I think with you and Kristin, obviously there's always going to be that draw there where people are holding on to that. And they're like, oh, we want to watch them interact. And listen, I don't know exactly what happened. You just see headlines and you're like, oh, it's been revealed that they shared a kiss before the podcast and whatever it is. And you're like trying to gather all this information. But this may be a weird question and you don't need to answer it, whatever. I don't even know if it's that weird. But did you feel like, okay, in order for us to do this podcast, we need to make sure there's nothing romantic going on here. There's going to be no fling that's happening, so we could just focus on this work.
No, we've been buddies. Our time came back in 2004, and ever since then, it's been good buddies who get to laugh about the past.
Right.
So yeah, no, it was nothing like that at all. And it's been a really good working relationship together. So it's all good.
Yeah, the fans really hold on to it.
Right.
I know.
And then you're like, guys, because then as a rational fan, you're like, that was so long ago. Like they were in high school, guys. Like they're not the same people. Like you grow up and you grow out of these things, and then you could be friends with somebody you dated in high school. It's very normal.
Yeah, Kristin did a Q&A recently that I think somebody had asked her that too. It was like, you guys have such great chemistry. She's like, yeah, we've known each other. That's what happens when you know each other for 20 years. Like you have good chemistry.
All that bullshit behind us. And I think it also makes for a unique opportunity with the show to be like, it's one thing to have your high school life taped for cameras, when you're 18 years old, but how about going back 18 years later with your ex from the show and going over it? But like we're so emotionally past everything that happened to us back in the day, and it's moved into that like, oh, what a sweet innocent time in our life,
right.
So that it almost works perfectly for this, because we can go over everything, we can take the piss out of it, we can give each other shit, and there's just nothing else there. So it's good to have that.
Right, and those moments are now they probably seem so minuscule to things that happen later in life when you become an adult.
Yeah,
and
there's
there's
such a
some
big deal in high school.
There's some big things that happen, and then you look back to the high school shit, and you're like, huh, I am wondering why I got so mad at that. But at the time, it seemed so big.
You would think so, but a lot of people keep reminding me of certain moments that happened because of the TV show. So I'm like, oh shit, I really fucked that up. What an asshole!
You're like, I was 18.
Yeah. I know. There's only so much of oh wow, I was such a kid, back in the day. I can really say at the end of the day, I did some dumb shit, and I will be the first to say it. And it is right there for those cameras on MTV.